multiple threads running through each of our lives. And some of those threads we choose ourselves, and some of the threads are inherited. Some of them are short-term, and some of them are long-term. And all of them have some level of obligation that they demand of us. So you can have a thread like starting a family, you can have a thread like taking a shower, you can have a thread like starting a career, or going to school and getting training. So we open these loops, and then we close the loops, but some of them only close at the end of our life, when that biggest of all the loops closes. So we want to have some idea of why we're choosing the loops we're choosing, why we're choosing the scripts we're choosing. When you decide to become something, and you know that it takes a process, let's say you decide to become a doctor or a parent, it's not just the degree or the existence of your child that makes you a doctor or makes you a parent. The whole thing is really a big curriculum, and it's learning on the job. So we have a lot of decisions to make in life, and we're being pushed and pulled with different influences and different incentives, motivations. We're trying to get away from some things, and we're trying to go towards other things. And this has been recognized by psychologists and sociologists and just people who are interested in the subject of how decisions are made, how we build our life. And they've come to a lot of very great conclusions, very interesting summaries of the kinds of considerations that would be useful to keep in mind as we proceed. One very good observation is Maslow's hierarchy, as described by Abraham Maslow, which describes deficiency needs, like if you don't have food or shelter, you need it. You become distracted from everything else. And so once those are met, you have more freedom. And that freedom comes with an interesting predicament. Because once you've established that you have everything you need, then you can actually go on autopilot. So what I mean is, you can stop struggling. What I mean is, you can stop challenging yourself. Why would we ever stop challenging ourselves? Well, because we don't like rejection. We don't like failure. And we don't like things not going our way. Making a big promise, calling the shot, being ambitious or audacious, has associated with it the very real and oftentimes likely possibility of failure. We've been taught by experience that we don't want to fail. We don't like the way it feels. We don't like the embarrassment, the shame, the rejection, the ridicule. But there's a few lessons that we need to unlearn, and a few lessons we need to learn. One of the lessons that may have been true in the past, but which is increasingly false, is that failure makes us unpopular. That may have been true in the past, but today, failure actually indicates to people that we are trying, and if we have the right attitude, that we will welcome their help. Think about how much you love giving advice. How much you would love it if more people in your life listened to your wisdom. How much they would benefit if they listened to your wisdom. And then think of it in reverse, and how much you would benefit from the wisdom of others, and how how much they would want to share their wisdom with you when they saw you trying something, doing something, making an effort at something ambitious and great, and failing. If you saw someone trying to do something ambitious and great, it made you feel inspired, it made you admire them, and they failed, and you saw at least part of why they failed, maybe you even see the key component of why they failed. Wouldn't you want to tell them? Wouldn't you want access to this person? Wouldn't you want to have something organized and coherent and persuasive to say to them that will make them not put up their rejection and defense against your advice, but rather that would make them think, oh my God, you're so right. Why didn't I think of that? Well, that would be amazing. And by the way, the reason they didn't think of that is that none of us can think of everything. It's already been 6 minutes, but let me just review what we learned. We learned that we open multiple loops in life. We learned that oftentimes we don't know why we're opening them, but we can become more aware of what loops we're opening and why. The second thing we learned is that we have learned lessons about failure and rejection that have kept us from taking challenges in life, from making ambitious and audacious promises, because we think that failing at those things is a sign of deficiency, weakness, that we cannot tolerate finding out about ourselves. We don't want to fail because we're afraid it'll make us unpopular and embarrassed. But that actually, like they say, in school it's called cheating, and in adulthood it's called collaboration. When we are babies, we are dependent and we are struggling to survive. As we grow up, we start to strive for independence. When we succeed, we establish our independence. We show that we are legitimate human beings living our lives on planet Earth and that we can stand up on our own 2 feet. But we don't have to stop at independence. The step after that is interdependence. When a community of people who have demonstrated themselves to be adults and legitimate and satisfactory, sufficing, when we have demonstrated that we suffice, now we can actually ask each other for help and welcome each other's insights about who we are without becoming defensive about other people telling us that they have an idea of how we can do something better. So consider for yourself, when do you avoid giving advice? And when do you avoid getting advice? When do you tell people around you to mind their own business? When do you tell people around you to leave you alone and to stop judging you? What does that tell them about how you hold them in regard? Consider your intentions when you are trying to give advice and how good they are. Consider whether when you give advice, you are trying to help someone or show them your superiority to them. When you are offered help from someone, do you think that it's because they are trying to demonstrate their superiority over you? And do you resist their advances out of mistrust for their intentions or their abilities to know what your problem is and to know what the solution is? If you think that someone's intentions or abilities are questionable, it makes sense to avoid or reject their advances and their attempts to help you. This is an increasingly alienating and isolating way to live. I want to live with the strongest and most inspiring people that we can become. I want to live in, I want to contribute to, I want to influence and build the strongest network of people that we can become. I am not interested in just finding strong people. I am interested in becoming a strong person. I'm interested in you becoming a strong person, a wise person. And it begs the question, how do we gain wisdom? Obviously, we learn lessons from people and from life. We become convinced of things that we then live by. But some of the things we learned are wrong. We are living by some lessons that are wrong. These are the things that we know, but they ain't so. What do you know that ain't so? You actually can't tell me, because being wrong and being right feel exactly the same to me. I can't tell you which of my beliefs are wrong. The only place that I can learn about what beliefs of mine are wrong are from you. If I think I'm funny and you don't, I learned that from you. If I think I'm fun to play with and you don't, I learned that from you. And those are important lessons. If I think I know how to invest and I don't, I learned that from the world. If I think I know how to present myself in an interview and I don't, I learned that by not getting the job. So lessons come by displacing other lessons. And the displacement of the old lessons happens through failure. So it's critical for us to develop a transactional relationship with failure. It's critical for us to develop a transactional relationship with not getting our way, with being unpopular, with rejection. When we develop a transactional, playful, collaborative relationship with those things that we have until now done our best to avoid because we had our deficiency needs met, we had our food and shelter met, we're popular enough, we're strong enough, we have since then started to avoid rejection, failure, negative feedback. We have lost our awareness, despite putting it in lip service, where we say that things like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. We say that very easily, but who's actually living that way? Who's actually making their life harder on purpose as training? Who's actually taking cold showers? Who's fasting? Who is making a commitment to not interrupting people? Who's making a commitment to finding out how they leave a negative impression on other people? I am making that commitment, and I'd like you to make it. Because that is the way we will move forward. What's going to move us forward is the ability to develop a transactional relationship with failure. By doing that, we will stop avoiding challenges. We will stop avoiding making big promises, trying to deliver. Recognize for a moment that the people who make big promises, they fail multiple times in good faith. They failed trying. And no one holds their failure against them. When you make big promises and you fail, you will not have your failure held against you. In fact, the opposite is true. You will inspire others. You will show them that failure is part of the path to success, is absolutely critical on the path to success. And you will inspire them to give you advice, to help you. You will learn to become coachable. You will learn to hear other people's advice and not brush it off so quickly because you don't want to be told what to do. To not brush it off so quickly because you're an adult and you're independent. You will learn the value of interdependence when you make a big promise and fail trying to deliver. So this actually changes the entire dynamic of life, doesn't it? We didn't get into the positions that we're in to get more locked down, to become less free. We adopted our jobs and our careers, our positions, our obligations, and our opportunities in order to break free from the deficiency needs of food and shelter, to move into development, personal growth, self-actualization, finding out who we really are. And that will never happen if we continue to avoid rejection. We have to try new things. When things like coronavirus arise, we are forced to do new things. However, we don't have to wait. We can actually do difficult things intentionally now. We can make our lives a playground, a laboratory, a sandbox, an experimental place where we actually go into the world, try things, and see what the results are, without censoring the negative results, without shutting our ears and our eyes and burying our heads in the sand when we find out that something we did was unpopular. If something we did was unpopular, we want to know right away. It's possible to avoid negative criticism your whole life. When you're talking, someone has to pay attention to you. It's just polite. But in a YouTube video like this, you don't have to pay attention to me. You can turn it off. I find out, maybe not who you are, but what percentage of people finish this video. That is transparent to the web developer or the content creator, rather, who is putting out the content. Data is everything, and we want data. Failure data is the most precious because it's the change signal. We know each other better than we ever have before. Humans know humans better than we ever have before. But in order to do that, you have to adopt the mind of a marketer. Who has the best psychology about humanity? Who knows the most about how people work? It's a person or a company or an industry that is committed to giving people what they think they need. I am committed to giving you what you think you need. And that's why I'm listening so close when you tell me whether you like what I'm giving you or not. I'm not scared of rejection. I love it. I feed on it. I get better from it. I'm not a candle that's going to get blown out by a breeze and needs protection. I'm a bonfire, and I'm looking for the wind. I want the storms. I only get bigger. And I'm going to show you how to do it. If you keep listening, if you keep watching, you're going to see what's inside me. It's inside all of us. So don't forget, your life is yours, not anyone else's. Your failures are yours, and not anyone else's. We are too powerful to give the responsibility of how our life turns out and who we are to others. I want to live in the most strong and wise group of people that we can become. So I'm excited for this. I think it's going to be beautiful, and I thank you for watching.